Okay, I'm here live with Matt Fradd. He runs the page called Porn Effect, and he works for Catholic Answers, yes. So,
Oh, okay. Not to cut you off, I used to work for Catholic Answers. I no
right,
longer do.
right.
Yeah. Just to make it really awkward in the beginning of the interview.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so is there any other sites you run besides the Porn Effect?
Yeah, so the Porn Effect is a site for like teens and young adults who are trying to be free of porn, both young men and young women. And then I also have two podcasts. One is called Pints with Aquinas, which is probably inappropriate to mention on a teen video. And then another one called Integrity Restored, and that one has to do with porn. So yeah, I speak about porn a lot. That's
right. It's
I'm
good.
really proud of me. Yeah.
So, how do we find them?
Okay, well, you could go to theporneffect.com, or my personal page is mattfradd.com, and you can listen to Pints with Aquinas. Just download that, or Integrity Restored from iTunes.
Mm-hmm. So, apparently there's this statistics that state that children from 8 to 17 are, there's a 90% chance from children 8 to 17 have already viewed porn while just doing homework.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the statistics at my fingertips. I can give them to you to link beneath if you like. But, I mean, I think it just takes common sense to see that that would be the case. We're handing our children iPhones and tablets at a ridiculously young age. And we're not usually locking them down or putting filters on them. And we're not really monitoring our kids. We sort of think, well, out of sight, out of mind. And so consequently, we end up stumbling across porn. And, the first time I stumbled across porn, the internet wasn't a thing.
right.
And I was 8. And so if it was easy enough for me to find porn when I was 8 without the internet, it's pretty easy to believe that this is the general norm for a lot of teens. I think most of your listeners and viewers would say, yeah, that's true of them. They were young and they saw porn. And then what happens, I think, is when we see porn is like we're excited and we're interested, maybe a little scared, depending on the kind of porn that's been shown to us, but we're intrigued by it.
Right.
And I just want to say, that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to feel intrigued and interested and even aroused by sexual acts, like the human body.
Right.
But there has been a whole lot of scientific studies that have come out over the last 40 years in academia, all of which are saying pornography leads to all sorts of issues like mental health issues, erectile dysfunction, even brain shrinkage. We can get into that if you want. And so for that reason, as well as the moral reason, I think a lot of young people and teens are starting to be like, I have better things to do actually, and I don't want to be enslaved to this stuff.
Right, right. So how do parents and young people overcome this? How can they prevent this from happening?
Yeah, well, just I'd say right now, if you're a man or a young woman listening to this and you look at porn and you masturbate, I just want you to know that I love you and you're not a freak. Especially young women, I find so many beautiful young women will think that about themselves because in the church we've done a very poor job up until recently of addressing young women and saying, no, this is something young women can struggle with too. So just know that I love you, you're good, your desires aren't bad, yeah? But I think I'd want to say your desires aren't strong enough. Because when we look at porn and when we choose to go back to it and we're not interested in even stopping, the problem isn't that our desires are too strong. The problem is they're not strong enough. I mean, we desire happiness and joy and freedom and beauty, but we settle for looking at porn on a screen in our bedroom, bathroom, wherever. I mean, this isn't beautiful. It's not intimate freedom. It just enslaves us and makes us disappointed. And so that's the first thing I'd want to say. And so I think the first thing we should do is want to stop. And then go to things like the Porn Effect, where you can learn about how to do that. I don't know if you know this or not, but we have a program on the Porn Effect called Captive to Captivated. And it's a 6 video series for women who want to be free of porn. And so there's that, and we have all sorts of other stuff. So that's the beginning of an answer.
That's wonderful. So what made you start this Porn Effect?
Yes, it's not the typical career one would go into once you're
Right.
himself. I don't know. A couple of years into my marriage, I remember waking up one night and thinking, like, I had experienced a great deal of freedom myself from porn and that stuff, and I just thought, we need to talk about this because no one really is. And so I did. And so it just kind of happened from there. Like I lived in Ireland at the time. We flew in an ex-porn star and interviewed her in a jazz club about the reality behind the fantasy of porn in the industry. I interviewed a former Playboy producer in a punk bar in Ottawa, just trying to get the word out that as our friends at Fight the New Drug say, porn kills love.
Right.
I just kind of went from there. For some reason, people decided to keep inviting me to their schools and colleges to keep talking about this. And it's awesome. Like, when I go to a high school, teens are really excited about the message. If anyone is offended, and it's usually because, one, too much to expect a teenager to, like, leave porn and expect some higher kind of love, or two, they just assume that young people haven't seen porn. And either way, I'm like, you're wrong, and you're wrong. But teens are very open to the message.
So let's see. So like you said, it's not just a boy thing, and a lot of young women come to me actually and say that they definitely struggle with this, and they feel even more ashamed because they feel like it's not something a woman should do or be interested in. And what effects would you say that has on a relationship between just couples and friendships? How does that affect people?
It's a great question. So let me address the first one, which I have already a little bit, and say I think true that in the church we just haven't done a good job. Have you been to like Steubenville conferences or youth conferences that?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I love Steubenville. I speak at them. They're great. But I'd say up until about 5 years ago, if you're a young woman who went to a woman's session, you didn't hear about porn.
Right.
You kept getting told you were a princess or something. And I'm not sure how much that resonates with people, but in the guys' session, they're all talking about porn. And so whether we said it explicitly or it was just implicitly, we were sort of saying you shouldn't be struggling with this, which is a really hurtful thing to say to somebody who is. And my friend Audrey Assad, who's a musician, Catholic musician, and she said something really cool because she struggled with porn. She said, for guys, it's like we're all trapped in isolated prisons. As guys, we're all in one prison cell together. We're enslaved, but at least we're in it together. We're encouraging each other and so forth. But with women, we're in isolated cells, and none of us know that the others are struggling.
Right.
But whenever I speak to young women who have turned to one of their friends, their female friends, and said, this is something I'm struggling with, very often the response was, me too. So if you're a young woman, you're struggling with this, find a woman that you trust and just be real. You don't have to say all of it all at once. You can just begin by saying, I'm struggling with sexual sins, like looking at things and masturbation. You can just start there and just kind of test the waters. And I think if you trust this person, if this person's a good person, they're not going to be there to judge you. We're all struggling with something, whether it be porn or something else. Hopefully they'll be there just to kind of love you. So that was the first part of your question. I'm sorry. What was the second thing you were talking about or asked?
The second was, what effects does it have on a relationship, like friendship or just a significant other?
There's so much to be said. Let's talk about a romantic relationship. Well, pornography trains us to sort of see people as two-dimensional objects for my consumption, as opposed to mysteries. Every human being that we encounter is like a whole nother universe, and respect is demanded in front or in the presence of such a mystery. And the one who has eyes to see, we're able to encounter each other and find each other tremendously interesting, and we have questions for that person. We want to know that person. I mean, I've been married 10 years, and my wife is a complete mystery to me. She's fabulous, But if I'm immersed in pornography, then I've trained myself to treat other people as these sort of things that exist for my sexual arousal. And though I may not consciously wish that to be the case, very often it just is the case. I have teens who come up to me all the time who say this to me. I had a young man come up, I forget where I was, it was after a high school talk I gave. And he said to me, I cannot look girls in the eye anymore. He said, I get too kind of like awkward and anxious. He said, so I have to look at them in the middle of their forehead. So they think I'm looking at them in the... My heart broke for this awesome young dude, you know, like he was born into a pornified culture. He got sucked in. You know, he's an emotional wreck. His self-esteem has been shot. So it really affects us. I think quitting porn is one of the most sex-positive things a person can do. And if you want to be a more interesting individual and find other people more interesting, then quitting porn and fighting to remain free from it is, I think, a very effective means of achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm. So what books do you recommend for this, like for youth or just young adults that are looking to read up on how to quit too? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a book and an app by the same name, and that book and app is called Victory. If you go to the Victory app, I think it's called thevictoryapp.com, or just go onto your iPhone or Android and in the App Store type Victory. It's an app that I produced with Life Teen.
Right.
And have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, cool. You know what's funny is when we first launched this app, we had all of these automated porn Twitter accounts retweeting us. Mentioning porn. And I'm like, this is evangelization at its finest. Yeah? Anyway, so, you know, it's a way, as you know, to track your progress. We're going to be updating the app entirely, I'd say, within the coming year. So the updates, it's not just an update, it's a whole reworking of the whole system. Right. So it's an awesome app. And, you know, it has an accountability button. So if you press that, your accountability partner will get a notification saying, you know, please pray for Mary or John or whoever.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd say get that app because that app's free, and then you can also download the book in the app. So that might be a start.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then I just one more thing is my book Delivered. If you type in Delivered, I think it's deliveredmattfradd.com or something. That's a book that I put together. It has stories of men and women who found freedom from porn, and they're like $2 each if you buy a box of 20. So encourage your youth minister maybe to buy them and populate the church with them.
Right. That's a great idea. That app is wonderful. Thank you for making it.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to Life Teen who really helped do it. It would go nowhere without Life Teen. They're the ones who really put the money behind it. They're just amazing people over there.
So what are your social media accounts? How can we find you on there too?
Yeah, thank you. It's Matt Fradd. That's it. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and it's just Matt Fradd is my name. Mm-hmm. Now, I started signing up to Snapchat. Are you on Snapchat?
Yeah. What's your Snapchat?
Well, I think it's Matthew Fradd, and I meant it to be Matt Fradd, but now it's Matthew Fradd. But then Instagram started the story thing. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, why? I don't want to do it anymore.
Right, exactly. It seems like kind of a waste.
You tell me. I'm old. I have 4 kids. I'm not cool anymore. You tell me. Still have Snapchat or what?
I think the Instagram thing is good if you're just too lazy to get Snapchat, but Snapchat's a good place for, you know, all around people to find you, not just your Instagram followers.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Maybe I'll keep it open and we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's how people can find me. So are you on Instagram? Is that your main thing?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook, but my Facebook page is a lot smaller.
What is your Facebook? I know that we're in an interview, and it's probably not appropriate that I'm looking it up right now, but what is it called?
It's just Catholic Teen Post too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, good for you. Thank you for the great work that you're doing. Isn't it? It's awesome that it takes a young person like yourself to like reach out to young people in a way that old people like me can't do. So thanks for the good work you're doing. It's awesome.
You're not old, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So what else? What should we talk about?
Okay, so any upcoming projects that you have planned?
Oh, do I have books coming out and stuff? But that's all kind of boring. Okay, no, it's not. Big plan. And then I feel like I don't want to talk about just me. I want to talk about what you're doing too. But next year, I'm releasing a book with Ignatius Press, and it's a non-religious response to pro-porn arguments. And it's like hugely researched. I think the bibliography is about 30-something pages. It's going to be a really cool resource to have. So that'll be out, I think, in May or June next year, unless they're lying to me again.
That's great. So
Where do you, well, tell me, I know maybe you don't want to do this, but can you tell me more about what you do?
sure.
And then, because I want people to, I'm sure everyone listening to this probably is following you on Instagram, right?
Right. So I take a like popular pulp culture things and I mix it in with Catholicism so the youth can understand it better. So,
Okay, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just saw your latest post.
thank you.
Wow. Who did you do that? Where did you get that from?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll find things on trending things and then I'll mix that in, or I can find them on Pinterest, or Catholic memes on Facebook has a lot of really good stuff for me.
That's awesome. So just so the people at home can find out, there's this girl with this incredulous look on her face, and it says, "So you expect me to believe that a fetus can be gay, but not human or alive?"
Right.
Wow, good on you for not shying away from tough topics.
Thank you. It can be hard sometimes. Like, people will threaten me all the time, and it's ridiculous.
What do you do when they do that?
So usually it's the gay lobby usually. So I'll post, traditional marriage and how this affects people that believe in same-sex marriage or just attraction. And people will say, like, they want to kill me, to drink bleach, to jump off a bridge.
Love wins, right?
Yeah, all wins. I mean, it's not just the gay lobby, it's the pro-choice people too. They usually are the ones that like say, "I hope I get raped with an AIDS-infested man." Horrible things like that.
God have mercy on them. It's funny how because I get similar things. Like I always, not always, but I'd say a few times a week, I have porn Twitter accounts sending me photos.
Right.
Or, so sometimes what I do is they'll send me like a porn thing. So this is how I block my porn Twitter account. When someone sends me a photo, I'll be somewhere, I'm like, oh gosh, okay. And then I'm like covering up the screen, I'm like blocking them, my eyes half peeled. But so what I do is I close them off and then I send them a picture of the Blessed Mother.
That's a great idea.
And then I block them. Because I feel like it's one thing, like if someone disagrees with me very strongly, even if they're passionate, I'm not going to block them for that. But if they're like vulgar or telling you that they wish you would die, I think you don't need to put up with that, John. That's ridiculous.
But
I suppose like, social media isn't meant for like deep, thoughtful discussions, right? We're not in that mind frame to like read through something and seriously consider it. We're just like, and it's kind of like the electronic equivalent of someone coming up to you in public, sticking out their tongue and walking away. You're like, okay, you just wasted your time. Like, I'm not going to devote a whole lot of my mental energy thinking about that, except that it was kind of weird and what's wrong with you.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. Nobody really takes it seriously like that. I think it kind of shocks them when they do find it on like the trending page. That's what gets them really mad, is if they find my page through there.
Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah. So what do you do? Because sometimes it's hard. It's hard because you might think, oh, I've got a good response. I'm going to just stick it to them,
Right.
But then of course they write something back and then it never ends. And so like someone has to be like, okay, I'm just going to walk away. So like what do you do? Do you just ignore them or do you respond as lovingly as possible, then walk away, or what?
Usually I respond, and then if they do not want to listen to reasoning, if they just want to keep insulting me, I will just end up blocking them because there's no coming back. And usually if I block them, a few months later, sometimes it's like a year later or 5 months later, they'll come back and say, you know what, you changed my mind. Especially when you blocked me, it gave me time to consider what you were saying. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, You wouldn't think that that's how it would work, but tough love apparently helped those individuals to convert.
So I'm looking at your page right now. You go to an FSSP parish?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, don't say it if it's private or something, but what city are you in or what state?
Irving, Texas.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow. Do you know that I've been to that church.
You have? Really?
Yeah, because my wife's parents live in McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm there, I always go down to the Latin Mass.
Right. It's a wonderful place.
It's like once a year or something. But I think I'm going to go back this year and I'll be there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would be great. I would love to meet you there.
Yeah, my wife and I and our kids, we lived in San Diego for 3 years and we attended the Latin Mass there. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a nice break from all the loud sounds and things that we deal with throughout the week.
I know. It's like, well, you want to walk into another world, don't you?
Exactly. Yep.
You don't want to walk into something that feels exactly like 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know Taylor Marshall? Because he goes to that parish.
No. I'll have to.
Okay, well, you'd be interested. I mean, he doesn't write for teens, but he anyway, he has a website, taylormarshall.com. He has a really significant following. I think like hundreds of thousands on Facebook and stuff. And I think he goes to your church.
Wow, that would be wonderful if I can get in contact with him.
Yeah, awesome dude. You should ask your parish priest, and he might be able to.
Yeah, I will for sure. They talk about all these like famous people that come to our church, and I'm like, where are you guys at? I don't know what time you guys go to that mass, but they're every weekend.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer the high mass or the low mass?
Obviously, the high mass. I mean, the low mass in the weekday if I go, because I want it to be relatively short.
Right.
But I mean, especially if they have a good choir. In San Diego, their Gregorian chant choir was unbelievable. Like, I would usually cry like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a child. I compose myself while crying, but it was really powerful. Do you guys have a good choir there?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Cool.
I think they were like recently looking for more male singers or something like that there.
Yeah, then your problem is, right, like a lot of those families have like a lot of children.
Yeah.
And if I said to my wife, honey, I'm going to leave you with the 4 children and go and sing, she'd be like, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, luckily they have a cry room too recently. So they have like a camera in there so you can like see the priest saying mass and everything. So they don't miss anything. Yeah. Sorry, my dog is running around the floor right now.
Oh, so I heard you. Yeah.
Stop, don't eat that. No.
Don't eat my veil.
Yeah, don't eat my veil. Come here. Come on.
Oh, you got to show him for the camera for a win.
I will. Let me grab him. Spit that out. Come here. He's a handful.
I was going to say, maybe it's a huge dog. Oh, very, very pretty.
Thank you.
What's his name or her name?
His name is Chesterton. It's after G.K. Chesterton.
You must have been homeschooled.
Yeah.
I was at a conference recently. It was about 80 teens or something, and I said, "Hands up if you studied logic and philosophy in high school." And a few hands went up, and then I said, "And who wasn't homeschooled?" And all the hands went up. God,
pretty much.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure you've got awesome parents.
Mm-hmm. I have 8 siblings, so
Man,
7.
How is it so quiet?
Well, you see, my mom was like, "Okay, you're gonna go out of the house for a while. Kayla needs to do this," so she just threw him outside and locked him out. No, I'm kidding.
That's what I do. I'm like, "Okay, kids, go away. Your mother and I need to talk. We need to finish a sentence uninterrupted."
Right. It's really bad. Like, they are never quiet.
Yeah.
Especially, they would come into my room at like 2 in the morning and flip on the lights on me.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, my sanctifying brother.
Yes. I have 6 brothers and 1 sister. I lose count.
Yeah, it's loud. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for allowing me on to do this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being on my show. It was a huge honor again.
Yeah, well, let me know when you upload it so I can share it and stuff.
I will. Now, I must say before you go, my brother made me promise to ask you this, but can you say a few words for me?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, so he's obsessed with how Australians say color.
Okay.
So he wants me to
Ready?
ask.
Here it is. Color.
He will walk around the house.
It's like C-U-L-A. Color.
And he also loves water. He loves how Australians say water.
All right, ready? Water. Yay! Apparently, most people tell me the funniest word is no.
No.
No. No. How do you say no? No. 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 I don't know.
Party is also really funny how Australians say that.
What's that?
Party. How Australians say party.
Party, yeah. It's funny, when I talk to my mum, she berates me for losing my accent. So,
So how long have you lived in the States for then?
10 years.
10
I mean,
years?
I lived in Ireland and Canada, but I married my wife about 10 years ago, 10 years ago now, but I lived in the States several months before that. And, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll have to show him later on YouTube.
All right. Well, God bless you, and thanks for letting me chat with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.